Today we have Matt Struthers for the final time of this year, and not until next spring will we hear from him again. But today we have Matt Struthers for the crop report. And so thank you so much for being with us again today, Matt.
Oh, of course, anytime.
So you guys released your final crop report of the year, and it gave us some detailed information on the yields and overall the crop across Saskatchewan. Can you tell me a little bit specifically about the Northwest area, especially here in and around Lloydminster?
Yeah, no, the Northwest region had a much better year this year than compared to the 21 season. They started off with a bit more moisture in the spring, and that they also had some timely rains, and that really helped that crop just maintain itself and keep its yield potential quite high. And then when harvest season started, there was a bit of a delay just with that delayed seeding in the spring, delayed a bit of harvest. But overall, it went very smoothly. The weather dried up the second half of August going into September there, and that's exactly what producers needed, and they were able to get all that crop off. When we look at yields for the region, much better than last year. Most producers are either at average or above average. Of course, there are some drier parts of the region that were slightly below average, but thankfully that wasn't on a large scale across the whole region. And same goes with quality as well. Most crops are grading out in the top two categories, and that's a very good thing to see as well.
And then we've talked all throughout the year, but just looking at all the other regions so far, have most of them been better than the 2021 season? And overall, are they looking closer to that average, especially compared to last year?
I don't want to paint everybody with the same brush, but certainly there's a large improvement across the province, especially in the east and up into the northern regions. Of course, that west, central, and southwest part of the province just got hammered again with those dry conditions and the grasshoppers and the gophers. So hopefully that cycle can break for next year, and they can get back into the moisture and have much better crops than they've been seeing. But yeah, overall, I would say that the season was good. With the good yields that we're seeing in the east and into the north, and then not so good in the west, central, and southwest, it kind of balances out. So I think it was a good year compared to last year. It could certainly be better, and I hope next year is that perfect year.
I know we haven't really been getting a lot of really cool temperatures across Saskatchewan yet, but were there any major parts of the province that just weren't able to get the crop off in time, and unfortunately it fell due to poor rain or a frost or something that caused it so that unfortunately producers couldn't get it?
No, not. We've been in our report, we didn't report on it because it came back as zero, but there's very little crop that's left out. Especially down here in the south, most producers were able to get to it quite quickly, and then same with the central and northern regions as well. We didn't have any major rains, and thankfully we didn't have an early snowfall, and those are the two things that producers mostly worry about when it comes to a delayed harvest. So for a moment there, early September, it kind of looked like we might have a long harvest, but thankfully the weather dried up. We did have some kind of heavy dewy, kind of foggy mornings out in the east, especially the east central, kind of around the Yorkton area. But that just delayed harvest until the afternoon when the sun could break through, and producers were able to get that crop off. Now, most of the crop is off in the province. There is a bit of flax still left out, and that'll be picked up. It's just that flax, producers kind of wait as long as they can before they pick it up, just because it's quite a hardy crop.
Now, with most crop producers kind of being done getting their crop off their field and into their bins, kind of what is next for crop producers right now? Of course, they're going to be trying to sell their crops, and I know you don't really have the prices super well known, but kind of what is that looking for? Are crop producers looking forward to a very successful fall here?
If they finished harvest, they'll be doing a whole lot of jobs, getting ready for the winter. Hauling grain, like you mentioned, to elevators, whether that's last year's crop, getting room for this year's crop. I know there's a lot of for those producers who saw an increase in their yield. There's a lot of use of grain bags out in the field, so they'll be going out and picking those up now that they have room on farm, or they've marketed that grain as well. And then, like I said, a lot of other jobs on farm. Same with livestock producers. They'll be hauling bales, either from their fields or from other producers to shore up their winter feed supplies, and then also moving those cattle home or hauling water and whatnot. So lots to do out there, and unfortunately it never really stops.
hay, we kind of been taught, we mentioned it here and there, but hay yields were mostly pretty good across the province. Of course, the Southwest was a little harder, and the deeper southern parts were a little harder hit in terms of hay as well.
The hay yields did improve this year compared to last year. Certainly, I think they could be just a little bit better for some producers out there, but of course, it was nice to see that improvement, especially in the east where they did get hit hard last year as well. But they've certainly increased their yield or their feed supplies, I should say. Whereas, yeah, that west central and southwest region got hammered again. Very poor hay crop, and a lot of producers are sitting in that inadequate to adequate for their feed supplies going into the winter. So hopefully they're able to acquire that feed that they need and to ensure that the cattle have enough feed throughout the winter. I know some producers are hauling long hours, either into Alberta or other parts of Saskatchewan to acquire that feed. So hopefully everybody has enough.
Thank you so much for all of your time throughout this entire year, Matt. And hopefully you also will be plenty busy throughout this winter month. And we'll talk to you once again in the spring.
Sounds good. Talk to you in a year.